The chance our family received from those wealthy people felt like a stroke of luck. But my sister Mary didn't even hesitate. She left us, just me and Grandma, without a backward glance. She truly believed she was heading for a life of luxury and fame. However, it turned out the rich family's son was mentally unstable and made her life miserable every single day. His parents were completely biased and would only ever scold and physically abuse her. Eventually, Mary couldn't take it anymore. She lashed out at the entire family and ended up getting arrested. Meanwhile, my life took a completely different turn. I became the youngest fellow at the Academy of Agricultural Sciences. I dedicated myself to my studies and successfully developed a high-quality strain of wheat. This achievement led to my nomination for a prestigious award, and my future looked incredibly bright. But fate had a cruel twist in store for me. My sister somehow escaped and crashed my award ceremony. In a fit of rage, she ended my life. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back at the very moment when the rich family was at our house, deciding which child to adopt. My sister, her eyes filled with a chilling malice, hugged Grandma and spoke words that sent shivers down my spine. "Sister," she said, "this time it's you who's going to hell." What she didn't realize was that no matter what path she chose, her lack of foresight would always lead her to a dead end. My dream had always been simple: to improve agriculture and make a positive impact on the world. Have you made up your minds about who wants to come with us? A well-dressed man and woman stood in our small, run-down house. The woman looked at us with kind eyes and asked softly. They were the Smiths, a well-known family from Philadelphia, and they were there to adopt one of us. Mary froze for a moment, a flicker of excitement in her eyes. Then, she abruptly turned and hugged Grandma tightly. "I want to stay with Grandma," she said, pouting. The woman's gentle gaze then fell on me, and she offered a warm smile. "So, you're coming with us, right?" Mary quickly added, Yeah, let my sister go home with you." Grandma, who rarely received such affection from Mary, seemed a bit surprised. She awkwardly patted Mary on the head. Usually, Mary looked down on Grandma for being poor, always ordering her around and calling her names. She would even wake her up in the middle of the night, during heavy rainstorms, just to run errands for her cravings. Grandma found Mary's sudden change of heart strange. She knew how much Mary desired wealth and how dissatisfied she was with our poverty. So why, when the rich family came to choose a child, did Mary not jump at the opportunity to leave? Grandma couldn't understand why Mary unexpectedly chose to stay in our humble home, but I knew exactly why. Both Mary and I had been given a second chance at life. I knelt on the floor and bowed to Grandma 3 times. "Grandma, thank you for taking care of me all these years," I said. "If I get the chance, I promise to repay you." After that, I stood up and calmly walked towards the Smiths. "I'll go with you," I said. In my past life, my sister had been the one to eagerly rush into the Smiths' arms, determined to leave. She believed that becoming part of the wealthy Smith family meant a fairy tale ending, like a princess in a storybook. Little did she know that the Smiths had a hidden motive for adopting a daughter. They had a son named Charlie, who was handsome but suffered from a severe mental illness. Mary had entered the Smiths' world expecting love and pampering. Instead, Charlie, who hated strangers, made his feelings clear with a sharp slap across her face. The Smiths' parents were indifferent, barely noticing Mary's swollen cheek. They coldly ordered her to simply look after her brother. At school, Mary was looked down upon by her classmates for being the adopted kid. The school bully Jake made her life miserable. At home, if Charlie acted up at school and got hurt, the Smiths would whip Mary with a cane and make her kneel all night. Mary's life was incredibly difficult. In contrast, my life after Mary left was peaceful. All of Grandma's love and attention were focused on me. I studied hard in school, and after classes, I would help Grandma sell baked sweet potatoes. Life was tough, but I was content. Later, someone from the academy visited our school and saw potential in me. I didn't let them down. I got into the agricultural college and worked alongside scientists to develop high-quality wheat. I was even nominated as the youngest candidate for the top science award. My future seemed limitless, and I felt a sense of accomplishment. Meanwhile, Mary, constantly tormented, eventually went mad, hurt her adoptive family, and ended up in jail. Unfortunately, I never got to attend the award ceremony. It was on that very day that Mary broke out, her eyes red with jealousy as she watched me in the spotlight, and she stabbed me to death. Having lived through that life, Mary didn't hesitate to stay with Grandma this time, wanting me to fall into the same abyss of the Smith family. As I left, I turned to see Grandma, her eyes filled with tears as Mary clung to her, her own eyes full of spite. She sneered, "Sister, this time it's you who's going to hell." She was certain that joining the Smith family meant I would suffer as she had. But after dying once, hadn't Mary learned yet? Someone like her, without any real thought or planning, would always face dead ends, no matter the path. Mary wasn't wrong about one thing, though. From my very first day, I knew Charlie was completely deranged. The parents brought me home and introduced me to a boy with sharp features and deep, intense eyes. "Charlie, this is your new sister," they said softly. "She'll take care of you at school." Mrs. Smith pushed me forward as if presenting a new toy. "Your job is to make sure your brother doesn't get hurt. Got it?" I looked at the young man before me and simply said, "Got it." After the Smith parents left, Charlie lazily walked up to me, looking down with a condescending glare. After a moment, he sneered, "Who do you think you are to be my sister?" Then he reached out, grabbed my head, and slammed it onto the table with a loud thud. His eyes were wild and full of disdain, as if he were looking at an insignificant insect. "Idiot," he muttered. Just then, Mrs. Smith returned, having forgotten something. She saw me pinned down by Charlie, my neck in his grip, but she didn't seem surprised. She just grabbed her things, glanced at me with indifference as she passed by, and said, "Jessica, watch carefully. Don't let your brother get hurt." I could only move my eyes to look at Charlie and quietly answered, "Got it. I'll take care of him." The way the Smith parents seemed to care for Charlie yet were so indifferent to me made me feel sorry for him. Truly pathetic. They soon left for their business trip. Once I was sure they were gone, I grabbed Charlie's hair, yanking it down hard. "Let go of me, you brainless lunatic," I said calmly. Charlie, surprised by my action, let go and glared at me angrily. "How dare you insult me? I'll tell Mom and Dad and they'll kick you out." I stepped around him, smiling slightly. "Mom saw you choking me just now, and I didn't even resist. So, brother, how could I possibly insult you?" As I went upstairs, I warned him, "You better behave until they get back. Don't cause any trouble." And with that, I ignored his incredulous expression and left. Charlie was outside angrily banging on my door, but I didn't care. Mary wasn't satisfied with just pushing me into a difficult situation. She started a live stream, putting on a vulnerable act with tears in her eyes, holding up her phone. Mary looked sweet and innocent with her dark hair down. She said tearfully, "My sister and I were raised by our grandmother, and I feel very close to her. Choosing between a wealthy lifestyle and the family bonds we've always had." She paused, giving a bitter smile. "Even though our grandmother isn't well, I decided to stay by her side, hoping to spend more time with her." Mary went on, "But my sister chose the wealthy family without looking back, not caring at all how our grandmother would live afterward. I really think she's cold and heartless." As more people watched the stream, listening to Mary's words, many began to criticize me harshly. Fueled by the public backlash, Mary quickly added, "I'm not saying my sister's choice was wrong. It's normal to choose wealth when you have the option." I understand her decision, of course. Mary tucked a strand of hair behind her ear and softly said, "I will always be by my grandmother's side." She stared at her phone screen, showing a pure and innocent smile, like a single delicate flower in a desert, as she clasped her hands together. I will stay with her and live happily. People online felt for her innocent act. Her live stream was recorded and shared widely. Suddenly, everyone was praising her as an untainted flower in the mud, while I was seen as a greedy and ungrateful brat. Not surprisingly, almost everyone at school saw the video. Jake, the school's popular guy who was raised in luxury, had never encountered a girl who would boldly choose family over wealth just like that. Not only was she strong, but she seemed harmless too. I, on the other hand, was the greedy sister, appearing more devious and cunning in comparison. Jake despised people like me, so he blocked my way at the restroom, wielding his power. Jake smoked while squatting in front of me, looking down as he exhaled smoke in my face. "You're a dirty roach," he sneered. "What makes you think you deserve to study here?" Flicking the ash from his cigarette, he then pressed the burning tip into my arm. I was restrained, only able to watch as it burned my skin, leaving a blister. The boys around laughed mockingly. Mary was called over and witnessed the scene, her eyes wide with her hand over her mouth in shock. "How can you do this?" Jake, nonchalant, stood and lightly teased Mary. "Hey, little thing, I'm getting revenge for you. Don't you like it?" Mary glanced at me, hiding her smugness, then stomped her foot and looked at Jake angrily. "I don't like this. It's too much." Jake chuckled, pulling Mary close as they left. "Don't like it? Next time I'll find another way." Mary's sweet voice chimed in. "Jake, you shouldn't treat a classmate like that. It's not right." As they turned the corner, Mary glanced back at me, her gaze full of contempt. She was pleased with herself. In our past life, Jake was the one who bullied her the most at school. Now, with her new identity, Jake liked her, helping her bully me instead. But sister, living this life again, relying on men, is that your only move? Initially, Charlie behaved quietly at school, but after handing in our test papers, I returned to find chaos. Charlie's desk had been flipped over, his books were scattered everywhere, and Charlie himself was nowhere to be found. The classmates still looked shocked. They said Charlie was sitting there just fine, but then, out of nowhere, he just lost it and started trashing everything within reach. I found Charlie in an empty classroom. The teachers were standing hesitantly at the door, but none of them dared to go in. He was sitting calmly on the only chair in the center, a violent edge lurking deep in his eyes. Mary saw him, and a flash of resentment crossed her face. Memories of being bullied by Charlie's outbursts in a past life ran vividly in her mind. She screamed in fear, "Charlie's a lunatic! He's sick!" She's been taking care of Charlie for so long. Doesn't she know that people who are manic depressive can't handle stress? I stepped up and slapped Mary hard, ordering her to shut up. "Don't say a word." She stumbled over to the wall. Mary widened her eyes and was about to scream, but then she glanced quickly to see Jake and his crew coming down the hallway. Her eyes shifted as she started to cry softly. "Why are you bullying me?" Jake saw the scene and came rushing over, his jaw clenched in anger. "Hey, Jessica, are you crazy?" I didn't pay any attention to Jake at all. Instead, I turned and stepped into the classroom that no one dared to enter and slammed the door shut behind me. Facing Charlie's sudden, terrifying glare, I stayed calm and handed him the pill bottle. "Take your meds," I said in a cold tone. Charlie snapped, "Get out." Seeing me walk closer, Charlie's fingers curled a bit. The next moment, he stood up and grabbed me by the neck, slamming me to the ground. His eyes were red and he growled low in his throat. "I said, get out." Honestly, I wasn't surprised. But we were at school, not at the Smith estate, a place where Charlie could just run amok. After all those years of working on the farm with Grandma, if anything, I had some serious strength. I pried Charlie's hands off me without saying a word, grabbed him by the collar, and flipped him over, pinning him to the ground. Holding him down firmly, I said clearly, "I said take your meds." Charlie was in the middle of a manic episode and wasn't listening at all. He was struggling, trying to get back up. "You dare treat me like this? I'm going to make my parents kick you out." My voice was icy. "Go ahead." If it weren't for Grandma owing a debt to the Smith family and wanting to repay it, I wouldn't have followed them obediently at all. Charlie couldn't get out of my grip. His gaze turned fierce and he bit down hard on my arm. He didn't hold back. And in a flash, my blood was pouring out. But I wasn't having it. I punched him in the face, bloodied and all ready to wrestle with him. Charlie had burned through most of his energy earlier, too tired to fight back. When it came to an end, I had his arms pinned behind his back, forcing him to swallow the medication. Charlie shot me a vengeful look. "Jessica, you're insane." I slapped him mercilessly. "You're the one who's nuts, idiot." Because Charlie's meltdown happened at school, pretty much everyone found out he had bipolar disorder. Mary spread it further, telling everyone Charlie was a madman, violent and brutal, urging them to stay away from him. When Jake asked, Mary immediately teared up. "Charlie's really scary. I've seen him bully people before. I just wanted my classmates to stay away for their safety." Hearing this, any weird suspicions Jake had quickly disappeared, and Mary seemed more kind to him than ever. He pulled her close with a wave of his hand. Don't worry, stick with me. I won't let anyone bully you. Hearing that, Mary blushed lightly and playfully tapped Jake's arm. Oh, what are you talking about? Thanks to Mary's stories, Charlie, who was already not fitting in, now had even fewer people willing to be near him. It was just me keeping an eye on him at school, making sure he took his meds on time. Charlie grew fed up with me, repeatedly telling me to get lost. Once I saw him swallow those pills, I just packed up and left. I wasn't planning on sticking around you because last time Charlie flipped out, I impatiently slapped Mary, caught by Jake. He saw it as bullying and grew to dislike me more. At school, I'd often find nasty words like bitch or slut written all over my desk with a marker. In the cafeteria, people deliberately bumped into me, making my food spill all over. Sometimes, after going out and coming back, I'd reach into my backpack only to find snakes, mice, or cockroaches dead or alive. Seeing me stop in my tracks, Jake would be at the window ledge with his crew, laughing hysterically. But I kept a calm face, walked over, and stuffed the creatures right back down Jake's collar, exactly as they were. He freaked out, jumping around to shake out the mouse, yelling, "Are you crazy?" I said nothing, just headed back to my seat. Jake's look was dark. He glared, "I'll kill you." There were more of them than me. I always tried to avoid crossing paths with them. If I did, I'd get a day of peace. If not, once they caught me, things could get ugly. But I never begged Jake for mercy, even when he was crushing my hand, looking down on me. "Tisk, Jessica, you seem pretty tough." I was in so much pain, breaking into a cold sweat, but I kept silent. Finally, finding no more interest, Jake turned away, leaving with his gang. I slowly got up from the ground, leaning against the wall, staring at Jake's back with a hoarse voice. "Jake, you better kill me if you get the chance. Otherwise, I'll drag you to hell with me." Jake turned back with a sneer. "Dumbass! Do you think you're tough talking like that?" And with that, a bunch of guys burst into laughter. Charlie often witnessed Jake bullying me, but he'd just glance at me indifferently and walk away without a care. Mary saw this and laughed, patting my face mockingly. "Jessica, you're chasing after Charlie like a dog, but he never gave a damn about you." I didn't have the energy to hit Mary at that moment. I just leaned against the wall to catch my breath. Once I did, I kicked at Mary hard. She screamed and backed off a few steps, glaring at me furiously. "Bitch, why aren't you dead yet?" Then she suddenly laughed, so pleased with herself. "It's not time yet, dear sister. Get ready for a long nightmare." Charlie and Jake started fighting. By the time I got there, they were already wrestling in the classroom, looking pretty roughed up. One was from the wealthy Smith family of Philadelphia, the other from the Wilson family. Nobody dared to break them up, worried about getting caught in the middle. The homeroom teacher was outside, pacing anxiously. I noticed Mary at the door, covering her mouth excitedly, watching the chaos. From the looks of it, she definitely played a part in getting these two, who usually never interacted, to fight. When Mary saw me, she grinned smugly, showing off her teeth. The Smith family parents are back from their trip, and they found out about Charlie fighting. Guess what they'll do? She continued, "Sister, you're done for." I was annoyed just seeing her and slapped her hard. "Done, done, done. Without Jake to protect you, don't you know you're gonna get hit?" After that, I ignored Mary's screams behind me and walked into the classroom. Charlie was in a manic state, his eyes bloodshot as he choked Jake. But Jake wasn't backing down either and was punching Charlie in the face repeatedly. I picked up a long stick and, without hesitation, swung it at Jake's head. With a thud, Jake rolled his eyes and lost consciousness. Dropping the stick, I felt immensely satisfied. The teacher outside screamed in shock. "Jessica's got some guts. Quick, take Jake to the nurse." Seeing Jake pass out, but with Charlie still choking him, I was afraid Charlie might actually kill him. I had to pry Charlie's fingers off Jake, calming him down. "Cool it, Charlie." Charlie glared at me with bloodshot eyes, looking like he might punch me too. But I was quicker, pinning his arms behind his back, restraining him. "Chill." Charlie struggled, then bit down on my arm. Damn it, why was he biting like a mad dog? I spoke quickly. I'm the only one you know at school. I have your meds. I can take care of you, so please calm down, all right? I won't let anyone bully you. As he listened, maybe it was the taste of blood in his mouth. Charlie's red eyes locked on mine, and slowly he let go. This whole thing blew up. The teacher called both families to the school. Jake's parents from the Wilson family looked at Jake's injuries and then at the Smith family parents with a fake politeness. Your adopted daughter has quite the heavy hand. Hearing this, Mr. Smith glanced at me before raising his hand and smacking me hard. My cheeks swelled immediately and I could taste the faint metallic tang of blood. Mr. Smith smiled. Yes, this one's hard to tame. Sorry. In front of the Wilson family, Mr. Smith harshly scolded me before telling me to get out so he could talk to them. As I left, Mr. Smith lightly patted my shoulder, speaking softly. Well done. Seeing me leave with a swollen face, Mary laughed triumphantly, covering her lips. Sister, you're finished. No avoiding the whip and kneeling now, plus with that madman acting up, he might just make you suffer horribly too. I was already fed up with her, grabbing her neck. I slammed her against the wall, glaring coldly. Watch your mouth. He's sick, not crazy. Mary gasped for air, her eyes tearing up as her face turned red, slapping at my hand desperately. Good dog for Charlie, huh? Protecting him like that. That's when Jake came out of the office looking grim. Seeing me choking Mary, he stepped forward and pulled us apart, looking annoyed. You're bullying your sister again? You're truly vicious. Remembering the hit I'd given him, Jake's eyes were cold as he glared at me with hatred. You really pissed me off this time, Jessica. I smiled, looking at these two. Want to kill me? What a shame, you're too late. Charlie walked out the door calmly. With a flick of his eyes, he grabbed me by the collar and started walking. Jessica, let's go. Mary watched, eyes wide with shock, almost in disbelief. No way! Since when did you get so close with him? I ignored him and shook off Charlie's hand, frowning at him. Are you nuts? Charlie paused, looking awkward. He opened his mouth but didn't say anything, lifted his leg, and walked straight ahead. I watched Charlie carefully, feeling something was off. When something doesn't add up, there's usually a catch. After thinking for a bit, Charlie took a deep breath. I heard it when that person called me crazy. You stood up to her. Why'd you help me? Charlie seemed puzzled. I've never been good to you. I just sort of shrugged. I just didn't like her, and needed a reason to teach her a lesson. Besides, I frowned, staring at Charlie, equally confused. I've always called you crazy, Charlie. Charlie seemed to have started a one-sided Cold War with me. That's my guess, because when I used to supervise Charlie taking his meds, he'd sarcastically call me a dummy. Sometimes he'd mess with me on purpose, spilling his meds, but now Charlie wouldn't even glance at me, taking his meds coldly and swallowing them straight down. I had no idea what kind of mood he was in, but this version of Charlie was easier to deal with. Once he finished his meds, I just went back to my spot to study. Thanks to the choices Mary made in this life, even though Charlie was a bit of a loon, the Smith family never skimped on money. In my last life, I went to school during the day and helped my grandma sell roasted sweet potatoes at night. I had no money and couldn't afford extra study materials. I bought old workbooks at a discount from seniors, working through them over and over until they were worn out. Now there's a nanny at home, a driver to take me to and from school. Every month, Mrs. Smith would deposit a large sum into my account. I never had to worry about money. On the other hand, Mary's life was much more strained. Grandma was getting old, braving the harsh cold to sell sweet potatoes, earning barely enough. She relied on welfare checks to get by each month. But Mary was used to a comfortable life before, so going back to a meager existence was tough for her, and her grades weren't great, leaving her future uncertain. Now it was only Jake's affection that gave her a sliver of hope for the future. When Mary came home occasionally, she'd angrily scold Grandma. Why can't you come up with money, old hag? Go earn some. I worried about Grandma's health with her advancing age, so I saved up my allowance and gave it to Grandma when Mary wasn't around. Buy whatever you need, but don't let Mary boss you around. Take care, Grandma. Grandma held my hand, looking at me with those cloudy eyes, feeling guilty. Jessica, it's Grandma's fault. I can't work anymore and sent you away. Jessica, don't let anyone push you around out there. I felt my eyes sting, gripping Grandma's hand back with a smile. Grandma, I'm doing well. Mom and Dad treat me great. So does my brother. I won't be bullied. Grandma finally seemed relieved, gently patting my hand. That's good. That's good. When I was leaving, she insisted on giving me a bag of sweet potatoes. I grew these myself. They're healthy. Take them to your mom and dad. I couldn't say no, so I took them. Grandma, I'll drop by again next time. Take care. Grandma stood at the door, waving as I went, smiling cheerfully. Grandma, we'll be waiting. Back home, I saw Charlie on the couch, flipping through a book restlessly. When he saw me, he sounded a bit annoyed. Where did you go? Why didn't you wait for me after school? When he noticed the muddy plastic bag I brought in, he looked even more disgusted. What's that? Looks filthy. I couldn't be bothered to respond to Charlie. I went into the kitchen and started washing the sweet potatoes. Charlie followed, arms crossed, standing there arrogantly. Why'd you buy that? I went to see Grandma. She grew these. Charlie had heard about my story and snorted. When I started cooking, he begrudgingly spoke up. Hey, Jessica, can I try some too? I didn't add any seasoning, just boiled them. Charlie wrinkled his nose, picking at the skin with a fork, taking a tentative bite. It's okay, your grandma grew them well. Seeing Charlie act so awkwardly for once, he didn't seem so annoying. When heading upstairs, I patted his head like you'd do to a dog. Finish your food, don't waste it. Charlie's eyes widened, taking a sharp breath. Jessica, how dare you? Since the last parent-teacher meeting, Jake had stayed somewhat out of trouble at school. But every time I passed him, his eyes were cold, definitely plotting something. Likewise, Mary had quieted down, but she still looked at me with the same venom. Why aren't you in trouble? Why haven't you been hit? How do you do it, Jessica? I just smiled back at her. You want to know? Next moment, I grabbed her by the neck, bending my head to whisper in her ear on the stairs. Then get on your knees and beg, sis. It was simple, really understand what each person needs. The Smith parents were so busy with work, they needed someone to watch over their kids, provide stability. Charlie had been neglected since he was a kid. All he wanted was someone to be there, to care. I just want to get through my college life peacefully. Think it through, find a balance between these three things, and put in some effort. Then problems will sort themselves out. Unfortunately, in her past life, Mary was way too selfish, always looking out for herself and never backing down. That's what's different between us. Mary's body shook with anger as she glared at me intensely. After a moment, she took a deep breath to suppress her rage and sneered, Just you wait, Jessica. Without Grandma by your side, do you really think Professor Ava would choose you as her student? In this life? Dream on. I'm going to live a better life than you in this lifetime. After Christmas, the weather suddenly turned cold. It rarely snowed in Philadelphia, but now it did. Since that last harsh encounter, Mary had been trying extra hard to win over Jake. After all, getting Jake's favor and becoming the fiancé of the heir to the Wilson family is quite glamorous, something she wouldn't have even dared to dream of in her past life. As the new year nears, the school is decorated with festive lanterns everywhere, looking brand new. I know these efforts are to welcome the keynote speech by an esteemed academician from the agricultural school. Meanwhile, I lead a routine life, shuttling between school and home. Occasionally, when Mary isn't home, I visit Grandma. This kind of life is peaceful, and I like it. Ever since Charlie didn't wait for me after school, he's been keeping a close eye on me whenever I visit Grandma. This young master waits in the car, lowering himself to accompany me. He claims it's because he's worried I might cause trouble. Me? Who would be the one causing trouble? Really? Sometimes when Charlie gets impatient waiting, he'll come inside looking grumpy. Seeing someone like Charlie in this cramped urban apartment is indeed a bit odd. Grandma nervously wipes her hands, unsure how to entertain him. Charlie picks a small stool, cleans it off, and sits down without getting angry, holding a paper cup with his fingers. He sarcastically comments, If I sit any longer, my rheumatism might flare up. I glare at Charlie. Young master, sit if you want or get lost. Charlie glares back but doesn't budge, as if glued to the stool. He didn't move until I finished helping Grandma. Looking at Charlie kindly, Grandma chuckles. Charlie, come by with Jessica again next time. Charlie coughs dryly, reluctantly smiling at Grandma. See you next time. As we step out, we run into someone unexpected. Jake stands gloomily at the alley's entrance, followed by his crew holding sticks. Jake gives us a sinister smile. Finally caught you. He walks over slowly. You picked a great spot. No cameras, nobody around. Tapping the stick in his hand, he continues. Even if I knock you both out today, no one would know. Jake was trailing us. I quickly scanned our surroundings, assessing the situation. Charlie isn't afraid of anything. He glances at Jake and coldly spits, Idiot! Jake laughs furiously. We'll see today who's the real idiot. I take a step back and nudge Charlie with my elbow, whispering, Follow my lead. Charlie raises an eyebrow, surprised. You can fight? Watching Jake get closer, I start a soft countdown. 3, 2, 1. Charlie calmly asks, Who do you want to hit? At the last moment, I grab Charlie's hand, shout, Run! And we take off. Shocked, Charlie yells, Weren't we going to fight back? I'm familiar with running through these alleys, pulling Charlie along swiftly. While panting, I manage to scold, Are you crazy? They have 18 people and we're just 2. How could we fight? Having guts is good, but not knowing when to back down makes you a fool. My brain and hands are crucial. My dream is to cultivate high-end wheat unique to China. I can't get hurt. Charlie snorts dismissively. Coward. But he's not stupid enough to go back and fight Jake. After that, Charlie keeps quiet. Thankfully, I used to live here a long time ago, so I know the layout well. I lead us through a dead end, quickly climbing over a wall and pulling Charlie up too. Once we're hidden, I listen for Jake's crew moving away. Only then do I breathe a sigh of relief. Turning to Charlie, I see him staring at me dumbfounded. I frown. What are you looking at? After hesitating a moment, he mutters, That wall climb was pretty cool. Mary stirred up trouble again one night. She unexpectedly showed up at the Smith family's place, crying her eyes out with a camera in hand. She tearfully knocked on our door. Sister, Grandma's sick. You should go see her. Behind the scenes where no cameras reached, Mary's eyes flashed with malice, her voice weak but insistent. Come with me. Go see Grandma. Mary moved out a long time ago because she hated the shabby home, comfortably settling into the apartment Jake rented for her, rarely visiting. If Grandma were sick, how would she know before me? I just saw Grandma not too long ago. She was healthy and looking good. Mary's act is nothing but like a fox paying respects to a hen, up to no good. I checked the surveillance at Grandma's place after making sure she was all right. I was about to close the door. Come on, sis, Mary interrupted, acting all desperate. I'm serious, sis. Grandma's sick and wants to see you. I chuckled. Mary, sis. Act better next time and maybe I'll consider it. Charlie came out from behind me, looking down at Mary like she was something insignificant. He frowned in disgust. Does every Tom, Dick, and Jane think they can just knock on our door? What's the security even for? Charlie hit the intercom button. His voice called, Security, get her out of here. Mary was escorted away by security, tears in her eyes. As she left, she held her phone camera pointed at us, her eyes full of resentment. She mouthed, You're done for. Yeah, right, like I didn't see her with her phone out. I was just letting the storm build. The higher you climb, the harder you fall, right? On the scheduled day, Dr. Ava, a well-known scholar from the Agricultural Institute, arrived. Many reporters came to the school to interview her. As the principal was respectfully inviting Dr. Ava to tour the school, Mary burst in crying and holding her phone. She knelt, grabbing onto Dr. Ava's skirt, tears streaming down her face. Please help me, teacher. Ever since my sister got adopted by the Smiths, she hasn't cared about me or Grandma, and she's been bullying me at school. I can't take it anymore. Dr. Ava, being a kind mentor, helped Mary up. Concerned child, what happened exactly? Who's your sister? Mary, sobbing, wiped her eyes. My sister is Jessica. Hearing that, Dr. Ava paused with a keen look. Softly, she asked, Can you tell me what happened in detail? Reporters, seeing the drama unfold, instinctively pointed their cameras at Mary. When she mentioned bullying, their eyes lit up, eager for a story. "Don't worry, kid," they assured her. "We're reporters. We'll get you justice." Mary slowly raised her tear-stained face, showing the video on her phone. The video was from the other night when she tearfully knocked on the Smith family's door. As the video ended, reporters were outraged. "This is outrageous! How could she be so ungrateful? Bullying? What's going on? Student welfare is crucial. We can't tolerate campus bullying." Dr. Ava exhaled softly, turning to the principal. "Please bring the other child here. I'd like to hear her side." The sudden commotion had the principal sweating bullets. He quickly called me to his office. As soon as I walked in, he sternly reprimanded me. "Jessica, even if you were adopted by the Smiths, Mary is still your family. How can you bully your sister just because you're from a wealthy family?" Now I faced the principal, calm and confident. "Principal, are you saying bullying is unacceptable regardless of who it is?" "Of course, this is a school. Students are students, no matter what their family background is. We can't tolerate bullying." Hearing this, I smiled. "Principal, I'm reporting Jake for bullying me." The room fell silent. Jake, the spoiled heir of Philadelphia's Wilson family, was not someone to cross. Cameras pivoted back to me faster than ever. The principal, sweating, slammed his hand on the desk. "That's ridiculous. Explain your own bullying incident before falsely accusing Jake." I slowly looked away, sighing. "First, Mary accusing me of bullying is a complete fabrication. It's unfounded." Mary looked visibly flustered. "You're lying," she insisted, asking the principal to check the hallway cameras for the footage of me allegedly slapping her. The footage showed clearly I did slap Mary. The principal slammed the desk again. "Jessica, care to explain?" I shifted my gaze, shaking my head. "I admit I slapped Mary. It was a momentary act of anger, and I'm willing to be punished." Mary showed a smug expression, but I continued. "However, every time I've hit Mary, it's been provoked. My brother Charlie suffers from bipolar disorder, so he's emotionally unstable. Yet Mary spread rumors at school calling him a lunatic, aggravating his condition. Moreover, she made these comments right to my face. I looked at everyone. Charlie's a good brother, and I can't tolerate Mary insulting him." Everyone knew about Charlie's condition. The principal seemed thoughtful. A reporter, after hearing everything, tapped the table and glanced at me. "So, your sister says you ignored your elderly grandma. What's that about?" I nodded, looking straight at Professor Ava. I quietly said, "Maybe if my grandma comes in and explains, it'll be more convincing." Charlie led Grandma into the office. On the way, Grandma had already heard the whole story. She looked at Mary with a disappointed look, as if she couldn't understand why a kid like her would behave that way. Grandma, choking back tears, said, "Jessica is a good kid. She's been working with me in the field since she was little and never complained." With her shriveled, aged hands, she fumbled in her pockets, pulling out a tightly wrapped cloth pouch. She unwrapped it, revealing a bank card. Grandma gently stroked the card, tears streaming down her face. After Jessica was adopted by the Smith family, she came to see me every month and saved all her pocket money for me. Even though she was busy studying, she still worried about my health and came back often to help me with the chores. "Mary," Grandma, her eyes clouded with tears, spoke with guilt. "Is it because I didn't have enough education that didn't raise you well? How could you lie and slander Jessica like that?" Hearing Grandma's words, Mary's face turned pale. She kept shaking her head. "What are you talking about, Grandma? I never knew Jessica visited you." Mary smiled awkwardly. "Don't lie for her, Grandma." Grandma shakily took a couple of steps forward, trying to kneel down in front of everyone. "I swear Jessica is truly a good child. She's never done anything cruel or heartless. Don't be hard on her." Seeing Grandma's actions, I immediately rushed forward and supported her. Grandma shook my hand off and knelt, bowing her head. "It's my fault. I didn't teach Jessica well. Don't blame her." The reporters, sharp-eyed from many such scenes, could tell who was telling the truth and who wasn't. I helped Grandma up and looked at Mary with a cold smile. "Of course you don't know I visited Grandma because you were ashamed of the poor environment. You moved out early. Ask yourself, how many times did you visit Grandma in the 6 months after you moved out?" Worried that Grandma might fall sick with no one to care for her, I installed cameras at home. Watching Mary's face turn paler inch by inch, I added calmly, "If you lived there, you'd know." But do you know this? I pulled up footage from the cameras saved on my phone. The video showed Mary rarely going home, and when she did, she rifled through Grandma's things, looking for her savings, demanding money. Sensing this, I had warned Grandma to hide the bank card I gave her, so Mary never found it. The video showed Mary impatiently shoving Grandma and cursing, "You worthless old woman. You're a waste alive with no money. What's the point of me staying with you?" Grandma, pushed over, stumbled, and could only apologize. "I'm sorry, I'm useless and can't earn money." After viewing these videos, I was furious, rushing to Grandma's house overnight and taking her to get checked. Luckily, nothing serious happened. The evidence now became a weapon against Mary. From the start, Mary placed her phone secretly on the bookshelf, live streaming everything with the intention of turning people against me. But things turned around quickly. I blocked her from stopping the live stream, and viewers went from sympathizing with Mary to realizing the truth. They started angrily denouncing her. "Wow, she's disgusting. Such a fake innocent act. I can't believe I thought she stayed with Grandma out of love. She was just using her. So shameful. I regret defending her." Professor Ava helped Grandma sit down and softly said, "Mrs. Sarah, take a break and have some water." Grandma once worked in Ava's lab doing manual labor in a past life. After remembering the old lady, Eva visited her after a lecture and discovered my knack for agriculture. Thanks to that, I got into an agricultural college and became her student. In this life, Mary tried to keep me from meeting Eva and continuing my career path, but I had planned ahead and sent my papers to Ava's email. After reading my research, Ava was impressed and already planned to meet me on the day of her lecture. When Mary barged in crying, Ava decided to get the facts straight before making any judgments, and things turned out just as Ava expected. Looking at me again, Ava smiled warmly. "Jessica, you're indeed a good child. I knew you were." Then she firmly addressed the principal. "Now that the misunderstanding about Jessica is cleared, it's time to address Jake's bullying incidents." Seeing this unfold, the principal's forehead glistened with even more sweat as he wiped it repeatedly. I chuckled. "Of course, let's check the surveillance footage before jumping to conclusions." Mentioning this almost made Mary lose her balance, but I calmly pulled up the footage, showing the scene where Jake and his crew cornered me in full detail. Unlike Mary, I wouldn't be stupid enough to act so blatantly and make a big fuss. I know how to bide my time and pick my moment. When I strike, it's like a lethal falcon. Today, I'm solving all of it. Jake bullied me. That's a fact. Today with Ava, several top reporters from the Philadelphia newspaper gathered. For them, a story of high society bullying is like catching a whiff of blood. No way they'd let it go without tearing off a piece of flesh. No one, not even Jake, the prestigious Wilson family prince, could protect him. Things went as I expected. With evidence, the fact was undeniable. Reporters blew up the story about Jake bullying his classmate. Overnight, the Wilson family stock tanked, and even Jake stayed away from school for a few days, afraid of Jake's crazy retaliation. I was extra cautious, sticking to my school routine and not lingering outside. Inevitably, I ran into Jake. He looked terrible, with dark circles under his eyes. He stopped me. "Jessica, can we talk?" I glanced around to make sure we were surrounded by students, then warily replied, "I have nothing to discuss with you." Jake ignored me, lighting a cigarette. He exhaled slowly and asked, "The alley where I cornered you, is that where your grandma lives?" I frowned, unsure of his point. Defensive, I replied, "Don't try to bother my grandma. I've moved her somewhere you can't find her." Jake chuckled, tossed the cigarette, and stamped it out. "I'm not planning revenge," he said quietly. After a pause, he added, "Amazing how I never realized Mary never actually cared for her grandma, despite what she said." Jake closed his eyes in frustration. "This is my karma. I hated you before, thinking you were greedy just like my dad, who's responsible for my mom's death. It turns out I was the fool, played like a puppet while thinking I was the moral one." Jake grimaced and, with an awkward motion, apologized. I'm sorry, Jessica. I stepped back calmly. Don't be pathetic. If apologies worked, why would we need the police? With that, I turned and walked away. Jake stood behind, quietly watching me leave. You can think of me as pathetic, he muttered. Rumors said Jake dumped Mary. Soon after, gossip spread that Mary was pregnant. She caused a scene at the Wilson house, demanding responsibility. But it wasn't Jake who dealt with her, it was his father. Already in a foul mood due to stock losses, Mr. Wilson couldn't stand seeing Mary, the cause of Jake's public fiasco. Though he smiled, his words were cold. How do you know the baby is my son's? A woman like you? He glanced her over. It can get a bunch with just a gesture. Why do you think you're worth something? Dismissing her, Mr. Wilson ordered, take her away. Have the baby gone and send her wherever she belongs. Forced into an abortion, Mary lost weight rapidly, her cheeks sunken. Grandma heard about it and was heartbroken, blaming herself for not raising Mary well. But I knew it was Mary's own downfall. To spare Grandma's sadness, I agreed to visit Mary in the hospital. Mary lay there with vacant eyes, whispering, Why? Why is my fate the same even after living again? Why can't I compete with you? Watching from a distance, I remained expressionless. Your biggest mistake is pinning hope on others. In your past life, you tried to rely on the Smith family to become a lady, but they had other plans. You couldn't accept it, fighting against them without considering Charlie's condition, creating a vicious cycle that made Charlie dislike you more. This life, you tried to rely on Jake's affection to become a wealthy wife, but the person Jake liked was a fake version of you. You can't fake it forever. You could have chosen a path better suited for you. The biggest difference between us, sister, is I rely only on myself. Mary was stunned, her face pale as she shook her head, insisting, I'm not like you! Not like you! She screamed until I was asked to leave. Later, I heard about Mary indulging in the nightlife after recovering. With her looks, she definitely attracted a lot of wealthy men, but those men were only toying with her. Once they got bored, they quickly discarded her. None of them wanted to marry her. They sneered, You're just a tramp who's been with too many guys. If it weren't for your face, I wouldn't even consider it. In a matter of months, Mary had several forced abortions. The last time she met Jake at a bar. Seeing Jake surrounded by people, Mary, with tears in her eyes, grabbed a knife and walked toward him. Jake was stabbed multiple times and rushed to the ER, his condition unknown. Mary was arrested and jailed for assault. I saw this news while checking my test scores due to a web notification after the college entrance exam. Charlie did well, scoring 531, enough for a good college in Philly. I scored 739, topping the city's science stream. I had a clear goal in mind, the same agricultural college Ava had attended. My responsibility to look after Charlie was done, and I decided to say goodbye to the Smith family. I handed over a card. This is the prize money from my high school competitions and patents, I said. I saved all the allowance you gave me, too. I was adopted by the Smiths to repay them for helping my grandma back then. Now it was time to leave. Hearing this, Charlie clenched his fists, incredulous. You're leaving? He asked. I smiled, comforting him. Charlie, no one stays with you forever. You have to learn to part ways. Charlie's condition had improved a lot. His bipolar episodes were rare now. Besides, I softened, I have my dreams to chase. My dream was to cultivate high-end wheat to make China self-sufficient in luxury crops and not rely on imports. I wanted locals to choose domestic produce first so farmers could earn a decent income. I dreamed that my grandma's hard-grown crops wouldn't be sold for dirt cheap anymore. In my past life, I developed the dream wheat variety. Now it was all a vision. Currently, China lacks premium agricultural products in the global market. Despite being an agricultural powerhouse, it's the largest food importer. That, and the fact that most of China, except for parts like the Northeast Plain, can't fully mechanize farming due to its terrain. I believe with my past experience, I can cultivate the ideal wheat variety sooner and even improve it to better suit China's needs. But I didn't expect that on the first day of college, Charlie showed up with his luggage, lazily standing before me. I was a bit taken aback. What are you doing here? He casually threw an arm over my shoulder and smirked. Your brother can't let you wander alone out there. I decided to go to a school next to yours to watch over you, Charlie said, nudging me to help with his paperwork. There's a lot of people, and I get headaches in crowds. While my hands were full, he slipped a card into my bag, grinning. The Smiths are loaded. We can afford a kid like you. Why be so dramatic? Having a genius sister is a big deal. The family can't wait to spoil you. Why live like a monk? Charlie said, ruffling my hair. Don't worry, I've arranged for Grandma to be taken care of. She'll be fine. Genius, he reassured. You focus on using your brains to change the world. Anything else, your brother's got it covered. What are you afraid of? Once a brother, always a brother. I'll have your back for life. By age 25, under Ava's guidance, our team successfully cultivated high-end wheat. It was high in yield, great in taste, and easy to grow. In just a few years, China's wheat was selling globally. The high patent fees from the seeds and export profits boosted China's agriculture significantly, making agriculture profitable and attracting more people to the field. At 29, during the National Science and Technology Award ceremony, our team was nominated for our significant contributions to agriculture through wheat research. Grandma sat in the audience, wiping tears. She clapped excitedly and said, "Jessica, I'm proud of you." Charlie smiled at me, congratulating. "Sister, you made your dream come true." I walked towards them amidst the thunderous applause and flashing cameras.